And the final story is one I promised that I'd at least touch on last month. The Chinese Space Agency in September launched what's essentially a small space station module. This is called Tiangong, Heavenly Palace. And it was launched in mid-September. And then in mid-October, 2 taikonauts were launched to this space station. And so these are the two crew members. This gentleman, this is his 3rd space flight. And the other gentleman, it's his 1st. And so mid-October, they launched on a Long March 2 booster inside a Shenzhou capsule. And this is what the Shenzhou looks like. It's modeled after the Russian Soyuz. There's an equipment module that provides the power, the propulsion, the life support. This is the orbital module where the crew stays while they're in orbit. And then this is the descent module that actually allows them to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere and touch down at the end of the mission. And so here's a television view from inside the capsule at launch. So there's one fellow sitting there and the other one in the center. And this is just a drawing of what this looked like. So this is about 35 feet end to end, so a little bit over 10 meters. This is about 9 meters long. And this is what it would look like when it's docked. And they did successfully dock after, I think, about 4 days catching up. And there's the crew on board the Tiangong. And they spent 32 days in orbit. And this is there was a little mini satellite that they released. And so this is a television view from that satellite. So there's the Shenzhou capsule, there's the Tiangong. And then it was I guess about 10 days ago, they separated from the orbital module. This is the descent module separating. So there's the heat shield on it. And here they are in the Gobi Desert. After landing, they pulled the crew out through the front hatch, and it was a very successful mission. So this is comparable in capability, I guess you'd call it, to something that the Russians did back in the 1970s. They had a series of small space stations called the Salyuts. And they would send 2 or 3 crew members up, and they'd spend 1 to 2 to 3 months, and then bring them back. And so the Chinese are very methodically building up their technical capabilities to do this. And the intent now, the next step would be in 2018, they expect to launch a multi-module space station. And this would be more equivalent to something like the Russian Mir station that operated from the early 1990s until the International Space Station came on board. And so this would be the Shenzhou capsule that would carry them to and from the station. It was much larger internal volume. They'll have lots of various research capabilities on board. And so this will all start in 2018, and the Chinese are making overtures to the European Space Agency and the Russian Space Agency to join them. We'll see what happens. Right now, NASA, unfortunately, is bound by a congressional edict that they cannot deal with the Chinese Space Agency in any way, shape, or form. So we can't really talk to them about this. That may change. We'll see. So that's where they're expecting to head. And I guess that's the end of my part of the talk. So our next session of 60 Minutes will be the end of January. We take the month of December off, and so January 25th. And I just wanted to put in a plug for a couple of programs that will be happening before then. The first of them is on December the 13th, so 2 weeks from yesterday. And it's by Dr. David Grinspoon. It's called Earth in Human Hands. It will be here in the planetarium. David was a curator here at the museum for a number of years, and he's just written a book by the same name, talking about human influences on our planet. And so he'll be doing a book signing as well, but it'll be here in the planetarium, and Katrin will be operating the dome, and it should be a very fun evening. And then in January 12th, in the IMAX Theater, we'll have a presentation called Mars, Our Future on the Red Planet. I can't see most of you, but hopefully you're aware, I think starting 3 weeks ago, National Geographic Channel started an 8-part sort of mini-series called Mars. And it's fictional, but they have lots of interviews with Mars experts in present year. And Leonard David, who's a very well-known space journalist, has written the companion book for that series. And so this is the name of the companion book, and he'll be talking about the series and just what to look forward to in our explorations of Mars over the next couple of decades. And again, he will be also doing a book signing. So you can find out about both of these programs on our museum website.